Welcome to Inside Small Business Policy, where we draw connections between small businesses and the public policy issues that shape the way they operate. I'm John Arensmeyer, founder and CEO of Small Business Majority. Today, we're really fortunate to be chatting with Mo Johnson, the owner of Better Display Cases based in Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. Before starting his small business, Mo served in the U.S. Army for 20 years. After his time in the military ended, he didn't initially set out to be a small business owner, but that's exactly where he ended up. I'll let him tell us how he got to where he is today. Thanks so much for being here, Mo, and thank you so much for your service.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
So, Mo, just tell us your story. Share how you transitioned from the military, how you ended up being an entrepreneur, what inspired you. Love to sort of hear your sort of transition
Yeah.
story and your beginning story with your business.
Yeah. It's always hard to know where to begin, I mean, because, everything's related to everything in your whole life. So I've always had entrepreneurial bug, even when I was a kid, I had paper routes, multiple paper routes at times. Later on, I owned a commercial cleaning business, janitorial business. Um, and even when I was in the military, I was as kind of a hobby creating websites, and so all of that kind of morphed into where I am today. Those websites were like blog sites about sports. The first one I started was secsportsfan.com, so it was just a fan website about the Southeastern Conference, which I went to the University of Tennessee, so that's why I was interested in it. Then after I retired, I started doing advertising on the website. And first it was Google advertising, and also I sold Fathead, so I had those on the website as well, and I would rank very high. People would search. This was in the early days of the internet. So, for instance, the company Fathead, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they have like stickers that they put on the wall of a lot of sports figures, life size things. Anyway, they didn't really market on the web, so I did it for them, for a while. So people would come to my website. I would have a page like, say, Alabama Crimson Tide Fathead, and people would come there. I had a link to Fathead. They would go buy the Fathead. I would get a commission. So these are the kind of things that I was doing. But things changed. Google figured out that people buying a Fathead probably would rather go to fathead.com than to secsportsfan.com, and Fathead also figured out, hey, we need to get serious about internet marketing. So, my rankings went down, theirs went up. And so, that changed. So then I started selling Fatheads on Amazon and on eBay, and the actual physical product instead of just the link. One day, eBay called me up, somebody from eBay, and said, "Hey, Mo, we see you're selling sports memorabilia. Do you have any display cases?" I said, "What are display cases?" I really didn't know anything about them. And they said, "Well, people that collect sports memorabilia like to put their memorabilia in a display case, and there's a lot of demand for it and not a lot of supply." So I said, "Oh, interesting. I'll look into that, see what I can do." So first I tried to resell other people's stuff for the obvious reasons, quality, and also just it's hard to sell exactly what other people are selling because it's just a race to the bottom price wise. So, and also I learned a lot from that. Customers would contact me and say, "Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do the other?" I couldn't do any of that because I was just reselling somebody else's product. So that gave me the idea to start making my own. Found a supplier overseas well, first I found some suppliers in the US, but eventually overseas, and they made my product, which I designed. And then we because I was dealing directly with them, and we got lucky. There's like any story that is successful, there's luck involved. I have them right here. This is an example. This is a metal riser. So we have risers on a lot of our display cases. You put them together with there's one already put together. Look at this. So anyway, this is a good example. So this is a mini football display base that goes in a display case, cut out for the mini football. You put it in there. So the risers that my supplier happened to use, which are these metal things, were different than what anyone else uses. Which when I first saw them, I was like, they look weird, but okay, we'll see. Turns out I was very fortunate because they're made of metal. So because of that, when customers ask, "Hey, can you do red? Can you do black?" Black is very popular. Can you do orange, green, pink, purple, whatever? We can do it all. We can do any color because the metal can be painted. And so anyway, that's an example of the things that we did to be different than anyone else. And that's so important, in my opinion. Even if, I mean, honestly, you may not even think your product is as good as someone else in some way or another. Maybe it's not as good. Maybe there's advantages, disadvantages, but just being different is so important, because somebody will find your difference important to them, and it'll be a better product for them. And Amazon, there's good and bad things about Amazon. We talk about them, but one of the good things about them is they've opened up the world to small business people. And now you might have a tiny little niche, but when you can reach 200 million people, that tiny niche can be enough to be a good business. So anyway.
That's fascinating. And you're talking about luck. I mean, that, sometimes you make your own luck, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm sure you've had some bad luck too. I mean,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's one thing I know, having been an entrepreneur myself and running now a nonprofit for almost 20 years, running it like a business. You got to be flexible, and
Yeah.
you welcome those moments of luck. And if you create enough buzz out there, you're gonna get lucky, and in some cases, sometimes you're gonna get unlucky, and that's
Yeah.
just the way it is.
For the most part, everybody gets lucky and
Yeah,
unlucky.
that's all part of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
So how did you get your first customers, and how did you start, and then how right now, how do you? I mean, you mentioned Amazon. What are your principal ways of marketing now?
yeah. We sell on Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Walmart, and our own website. Now, through a lot of hard work over many years, our website is our number one channel, which is fantastic. Didn't man when I started, I think I went a couple of years without selling a single thing on my website. It was just kind of like a placeholder. Some sites will require it, especially if you're a brand. Well, where's your website? So you got to have a website. But I never even tried to sell anything on my website for years. And when we started, it hardly sold at all. So it's quite an accomplishment. One of the things I'm most proud of probably is being able to improve my website to the point where now it's our number one channel. So I mean,
Wow.
I could be kicked off of all the, I mean, marketplaces. I wouldn't want that, but I'm saying I'm not. I used to not sleep as well at night, I suppose, because I would be more worried about, especially Amazon, getting kicked off of Amazon. That would be the end of my business. But now it would be a hit, but it wouldn't be the end of my business. In some ways, it might even be better, because some people that buy on Amazon would come find me on my website. I see the marketplaces for me more as an opportunity to publicize my products, and hopefully people come to my website, because I can provide better customer service to them on my website. I can communicate better directly with them. Honestly, the pricing is better. There's more discounts available, so everything's better on my website. But the marketplaces give you an opportunity to find lots of customers.
Well, if you're getting a lot of business on your website, it's telling me you're getting a lot of repeat business, which is
Yes.
great. I mean, and that obviously is where you want to be. You want to get new business, but keeping that repeat
Yeah.
business is essential. And sounds like you're doing a great job, because your website wouldn't be as effective if that weren't the case. So how do you manufacture? Tell us a little bit about the manufacturing process for your products.
Yeah, I mean, I use multiple suppliers, and I tried hard to source from U.S. suppliers, and I'm working hard right now with a company down in Charlotte. Actually, I was just there earlier this week, working with them. And I mean, personally, I would love to be 100% made in the USA, but can't get there, at least not quickly. So anyway, otherwise, and I've used a few different suppliers in the U.S. Labor seems to be a big problem. Everywhere I go, they say they don't have enough employees. They can't produce my product fast enough. So I get most of it from Asia. Um, I've used a company, and this is a nasty word, I guess, but the truth is China. I have a supplier in China, and they've been great. They've been a great partner and helped me to get my business where it is now. But I'm probably going to be moving. I have found a better source, I think, in Vietnam, and already starting to get product from them, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I think I'm going to be switching to Vietnam, but Asia is the answer to the question. If you want high, and believe me, if you talk to even manufacturers in the U.S. and they're honest, they will tell you the truth that they cannot make as quality, at least in my particular product, obviously not everything, but when we're talking about plastic boxes, acrylic display cases, handmade, everything is handmade. It requires a lot of labor. And you can't, there's no way you can come close to the price that Asia can do just because of the cost of the labor, you know? I mean, when I go to the factories in Asia, I'll see 50 workers there, you know, working on putting the cases together. When I go to a typical US manufacturer, even large ones, there might be 4 employees, 5 employees, you know, one of them's out sick that day. It's just a constant, it's just not even competitive. What the US is good at, if you can make stuff in a mold where it's not people, it's machines, fine, that's great. And that's easy, but that's not my product. And I could talk a lot about the pros and cons of doing that and why I think the way we do it is the highest quality. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, that's the issue. So anyhow, we source all that we can from the US, but most of it we have to get from Asia.
Well, you mentioned a second ago or a couple minutes ago about sort of the difficulty of workers, and you're not the only small business experiencing this. And I don't know if that would, how much that would change the dynamic for you, but obviously that ties in with kind of our immigration woes. And, you know, I just would kind of love to hear your thoughts about that, whether you think a more rational immigration system
Yeah.
it made it easier
Well,
for people to legally work here in the States would be helpful to your business or other businesses.
there's not a doubt about that. I don't even know why that's even debatable. I mean, I don't think it is. I think you could talk to any business person in America, and they probably will say their number one problem is finding. Uh, they're going to say we have a hard time finding employees. When you push a little harder and say, well, there's lots of people that need jobs, then they'll say good employees. So, you know, however you want to put it, the bottom line is um, labor shortage, and that's the case everywhere I go. I'm right now. I'm here at my 3PL that does my shipping. Everything is backed up. Lots of issues. We're just moving. I'm moving from my own warehouse to the 3PL. That's a whole, we could do a whole show just on that. And I've learned so much. You learn so much in life when you do new things, so much. But again, their number one problem is finding employees to do the work. And when I go down to Charlotte, talk to the display case manufacturer, same thing, number one problem. So I have no clue why anyone would favor cutting our labor force by cutting immigration and, God forbid, even sending workers away. I mean, it's ridiculous. So of course we need to rationalize our immigration system and make it easier for people who are willing to work to work, to be here and work. It's great for our economy. It's why America's economy is successful right now. We lead the world, and a big part of that we have to thank is the immigrants who have come here and are willing to work hard, and they provide a lot of vibrancy to our economy and our society. And so, yeah, that's what I think. If we want to remain competitive in the world, we need more labor, not less.
Well, what you're saying is what we're hearing from so many small business owners out there, particularly coming off of the pandemic, a lot of the workforce shortages we've found. So, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Our economy has, over the centuries, literally grown
Yeah,
because of immigration, and it's kind of, like, frankly, a distinguishing feature of us and why we're doing relatively better than much of
yes.
the world because of that. So, um,
Obviously, nobody wants illegal immigration, and nobody wants people running across the border. But there's things that we can do to make that process legal, and you know, that's what I'm saying. But we're gridlocked, you know, politically. Nobody will agree to do. There was a plan that was recently presented in Congress that, in my opinion, would have made things a lot better, but it was rejected by one of the parties. And so we're still in the situation that we are. And until they can come together and make something happen, we're going to continue this way.
I'm going to ask you about capital, credit or venture capital, other any kind of capital. Have you had a need for that? Have you, what's your experience been with getting capital, with getting loans or other sources of capital for your business?
Yeah, early on, when I was just starting the business, that was very hard. I mean, it's impossible to get capital when you're just starting a business, really. I mean, I maxed out my credit cards, I still have a stack of them like this, all these 0%. Like, yeah, I had good credit, so I could get a lot of 0% deals, and I would just flip them over, you still pay 3% usually a transaction fee, but if you pay them off in a year, there's no interest. So honestly, that's how I funded my business for the first probably 5 years, maybe. But after that, once I established a track record, then I could get loans, and I got an SBA loan first. Um, and then there was another company that I got a loan from for a while. Um, but then COVID happened. Those loans, in retrospect, weren't great. I mean, I needed them at the time. Amazon also lent me money. Amazon has a lending facility as well. All of those loans were like around 9.9%. Um, I wouldn't. They offered higher, but I would never go higher than that. But anyhow, when COVID happened, that changed everything for me. That was a big boon. Honestly, the government was giving away money, and so I got big loans. And since then, I haven't had any need for capital, which is good.
Have you found, were there when you started, or even now, any resources, public or private, that uh, helped you because of your status as a veteran? Did you find, was that because I mean, there are programs out there. I don't know if you'd
Yeah,
experienced.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I'm not in the kind of business. Like, for instance, if I was in a government contracting, that's clear. You get a 5-point preference or something like that if you're a veteran. So, there's certain government related businesses where it's a tremendous benefit. Other than that, like, I mean, I went to SCORE, I went to different things, but I can't think of anything being tremendously helpful, honestly, for me. But what has been tremendously helpful for me, and maybe I wouldn't even be here talking without it, is just simply that I'm a vet. And so I promote that, everybody's got to have an edge. So that's an edge, and you got to take advantage of what you have. And so it's impossible to know, but especially early on when I'm starting out and I'm selling product, um, all things being equal, people would rather buy product from a veteran owned business than one that's not veteran owned. And they're also more likely to be nice to you. If there's a problem, they're more likely not to complain on a website, but to contact you and work it out. They're more likely, if they are happy, to leave a positive review. And that's how the business gets going. It's one customer at a time, one review at a time, and eventually it snowballs. So I have no idea if I ever would have even made it at the beginning if I didn't have that, because I get so many emails and stuff from customers. I mean, they start out, "Thank you for your service." Let me first say thank you for your service. I mean, I hear that so much, and that's great. I put that in. Well, we market it everywhere, but I can remember early on, I really didn't even think about this until customers started contacting me and said, "Thank you for your service." I'm like, "Oh, wow, I guess that's important to them." So I started putting little slips of paper in my display cases when I shipped them, saying something about that I was a retired veteran and family owned business and all that, and signed it myself, just to promote that and build on it. And so, anyhow, for me, to me, that's the biggest benefit of being a veteran, is simply being a veteran and then being able to publicize that. And, so I would encourage people to, if they're a vet and they want to start a business, to think about that, think about what kind of business will benefit from that. And of course, market it, put it out there. But
Well, that was kind of my next question was, do you have advice for other veterans who are thinking about starting a business? And I guess the corollary to that is, are there skills that you um, got being in the Army that helped you in sort of two-part question here, but skills that they may have that you had, and also what, I'm sure you're not the only one who sort of aspires to want to be an entrepreneur upon leaving the military, and would love to, any advice you have for them as they're thinking about that.
mhm. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it's your life, and it's who you become. And so, but certainly I think in the military, being goal oriented is good. being problem solver obviously is good. Being able to relate to a lot of different kinds of people, so you kind of learn that in the military is good. I guess leadership. I was an officer, and so certainly I'm sure some of that rubbed off on me. And then when I'm supervising employees and so forth, that was good. I was a JAG officer as well, so I'm an attorney as well,
Oh,
and that was, I think, very helpful, because I mean, legal issues just come up all the time. Everything is in some way related to legal. If you want a patent, or somebody's going to complain about the product you're selling, saying you're violating their patent, labor law, tax law, just on and on and on. I mean, pretty much every issue you can think of is in some way related to something legal. And so I was comfortable. If I didn't know the answer to something, I could figure it out. And I've hardly spent any money at all on hiring lawyers. I was able to incorporate the business myself and all that kind of stuff. And again, especially starting out, it's hard starting out getting that plane off the runway. And who knows if I'd had to spend more money on lawyers at the beginning, maybe I never would have even made it. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's been very helpful to me.
I am also a reformed lawyer, and I have experienced the same thing. There are so many simple things, contracts, up down sharing agreements,
Yeah,
simple things come up where I feel that
yeah,
I don't need to consult anybody. And then obviously there are specialized areas where you do, but
yeah,
it does give you a confidence in sort of
yeah.
thinking through, oh, I can do that, or that's going to be fine.
I
So.
mean, I think it would have slowed me down tremendously if every time there was a legal issue, I had to like stop everything and, oh my gosh, let me go figure this out. Let me hire somebody for advice, or even just being scared to even navigate it. So that's been tremendously helpful to me.
So I wanted to touch on another issue, and that's healthcare. And would kind of love to get your, because we've obviously found this closely connected with entrepreneurship and small business. Kind of want to get your sense about, well, the healthcare system that you've had to navigate, where you get your healthcare, how that's impacted, whether you have employees or not. Would just love to get your kind of overall take on it, particularly now that we're about 10 plus years into Obamacare.
Yeah, well, that's another benefit to being retired military. I have healthcare insurance, for me and my family, TRICARE. So that's fantastic. And also, I mean, I have a pension as well. So I guess you were asking earlier about benefits of being a vet. Well, those are huge.
Yeah.
And without that, I don't know that my wife would have even allowed me to take the risk to start a business. There would have certainly been more pressure to take a job. I never offered health insurance to my employees, because to me it's expensive, obviously, and also it's cumbersome, difficult. Our system. You're going to have to pick a plan. What plan are you going to go with, and then the employees are going to actually use that plan. And when they go to use it, they're going to have problems. Everyone complains about their healthcare plan, and the deductible, or they're not covering this, and we need to write a letter to appeal that. I mean, it's a nightmare. I don't want to be involved in that nightmare. I don't want the employees coming to me and saying, Mo, your healthcare plan sucks, even though you're spending all this money on it, it sucks, and you need to fix. So I never touched it. All I did was, the idea was that I would pay them a little bit extra, and they would buy their own health insurance, maybe Obamacare, or whatever they could. As a practical matter, what the effect that really had on my business was I wasn't competitive, and it wasn't even a good idea for me to hire someone who needed health insurance, which is the vast bulk, I suppose, of the middle of the workforce. So for the most part, my employees are either older, so they already maybe are retired from another job and have health insurance, or maybe their wife has health insurance, or they're younger and covered by their parents. But once they get off their parents, probably my job is not going to be a good fit for them, moving forward. So in that way, it hurt me. It makes me less competitive for workers.
Well, you're describing a system that is so sort of crazy quilt that, I think all of us as entrepreneurs or running an organization, we want to be able to make decisions based on what's right for the business. We want people to work for us or with us who are you know, able to be there because they want to be there. Quite frankly, if you're one thing of starting a business, you want to be able to do that, because you know you take the risk, all the challenges that we talked about. But you know, you're describing a system which is so crazy in the sense it's, you know, people are making economic decisions, either employees or employers making economic decisions based on healthcare. And that's kind of anti-entrepreneurial, if you will. You really should be making decisions based on either you want to start a business, want to grow a business, or you want to work at a small business. And that should be the determining factors.
Yeah, I don't know why in America it's the employer's responsibility, to provide healthcare. That's kind of like the way it's evolved. Um, to me, it would be helpful to businesses to get that off of the employer's responsibility. And in most of the rest of the world, the government has more of the responsibility, if not all of the responsibility. And obviously, that would make our businesses more competitive because we wouldn't have that cost and responsibility. I mean, a lot of businesses have whole departments dedicated to nothing but dealing with their health insurance benefits. All the employees. I mean, it's a very cumbersome process. Not to mention how cumbersome our health, even outside of businesses, it's a very cumbersome process anyway. Talk to any doctor, they'll tell you what they hate is all the paperwork, and so I think our system should be tremendously reformed and streamlined, and that we should in my opinion, we should look for other systems that work better than us, other systems that have a higher level of patient satisfaction and a lower cost, and we should go with that. And maybe we're not going to be able to provide the highest level of care for everyone that we do now, but we'll make up for that by providing a broad standard of good care for more people, and that will overall help more people. And we still have a lot of rich people in America, and those people can still go buy their own Cadillac insurance, which will still lead the world in healthcare. So we can still lead the world, but we can't afford as a society to be funding that, which is the way that it's working right now.
So I think I forgot to ask you this, but any particular sports that you focus on the most with your products? Are there and love to sort of hear what the top sellers are.
Oh, I mean, football, obviously. I mean, it goes. People ask those kind of questions, like what state do you sell the most to? California. I mean, it's sports football. It's the number one sport in America, so of course football. So and we pretty much respond to our customers. So our number one seller now is probably our football helmet display case, full size football helmet display case.
Really?
And the great thing we can do that nobody else can do is we offer all these different variations, which is very difficult inventory wise. That's why we're really struggling right here at the 3PL to get everything straightened out. But we offer, like I say, we have 12 different color risers. We also offer like 6 different kinds of bases. Like this is a black one. We have white, we have clear, we have mirror, we have wood, we have turf, lots of options, and then the 12 different color risers. So you can match the colors with your team, the team color. So, that's the big thing that we offer. And of course, when I started, I pretty much did what other people did and sold because I didn't know. So I just looked online. Okay, people were selling. Everybody sold with every case had a mirror, black base, and gold risers. So that's what I ordered. That's all I got. But people started asking for these different things, and so that one SKU now, if you can believe it, turns into hundreds of SKUs with all the different variations. So it's hard to manage it all, but that's the thing that we offer that nobody else does.
Well, great. Well, anything else you want to share about your business or about challenges or anything else you think people out there watching this would be interested in knowing?
I can't really think of anything else.
Okay. Well, it's been great chatting with you, and thank you, by the way, for your. I know you've been interacting with Small Business Majority for many years, so really, the sort of we want to be as much help as we can, and also just hearing from you, hearing what you're going through on a daily basis is really so essential for us doing our work. So, I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for all the work you're doing and for moving through the entrepreneurial world.
Yeah.
And look forward to staying in touch. So we've been chatting with Mo Johnson, owner of Better Display Cases, and based in Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. Thank you, Mo, for joining us.